the last video, we talked about sharing permissions in Airtable and the 3 layers of permissions that Airtable avails to you as an Airtable user. Controlling who accesses data within your workspaces, your pages, or your interfaces. Granting permissions is one thing, right? But sharing links is also another. And now this also helps you determine the type of access that you intend to share in Airtable. So we're going to talk about the 5 sharing links, or rather the 5 types of links that Airtable gives you access to as a user within their ecosystem. So the 5 sharing links that Airtable has to offer are listed in this order. So we have the invite links, we have the view only links, we have the form links, we have the interface links, and the public share links, which is also called the embed link, right? And we're going to break down each of these various shared links one after the other. So let's talk about the invite links. Now, the invite links is the way which you invite people to Airtable. And as you can see on my screen, the invite link applies across the workspaces, which is when you get to invite people to your workspace as collaborators to your workspace. It also applies to your bases and to your interfaces. And the settings are almost the same with just very little differences, right? So in the workspace, you can invite either by email or you can create a specific link and then you send across to whoever it is you intend to invite. Now, if you want to create a link, first you grant the permission level. You can either allow any email address or you can allow emails with specific email domains, right? Now that is for the link. Now you can also invite people via email. So all you need to do is to key in the email of the person you intend to invite inside the box created for it, and then you give them the access level or the permission level you want them to have. You type in a message. Now this is optional. You toggle on the notify button and then you get to invite them. Now this also applies in your bases, right? The same process where you can either invite via email or you can invite them via links. Now, for you to be able to share to the web, you're going to have to create the invite link and then you grant them access or the level of permission. And just as we saw in the workspace, you're able to allow any email address or allow emails within a specific domain, right? Or you can just invite them via email. The same process with the base also applies, or the same process with the workspaces also applies to the basis. Once you get the email, you grant them the access, you key in the message, and then you get to invite them. So now this is for the invite only link. Now the second one is the view only link. It gives the person access to just view what you have given them permission to, right? Now this is basically done within the base level. Now let's see how this works. So at the base level, we are able to create views, right? Now, for you to share the view only link, you have to specify the views which you intend to show people or which you intend to give access to. So view only links are view specific, just like the name states. Now, when you give someone access up to a particular view, so now let's take for example that I decide to create a separate view here called the Kanban view, right? Now, if I give someone access to the Kanban view, the person is only able to see what is within the Kanban view and nothing else. What is within the Kanban view and nothing else. So when I share this view of my screen, you can see the share view option. Now this is how you share your view only link, right? So once the person accesses the link, once you create the link, you copy it and then you share. Now here you can also toggle the settings, or rather you can work on the settings depending on if you want your viewers to copy data, right? Or if you want to show all fields in the expanded records. So basically this means that when you hide a field, right, and you toggle this on, they're able to see even the fields that have been hidden. You can also restrict access to a particular email domain, or you can restrict access with a password. So when you toggle this on, it gives me the password, rather it gives me the prompt to set a password, and then anybody who I give access to this link must have the password to be able to access it. And I can either generate a new link or disable the link. It's all dependent on how I intend to do that. And I can also embed this view in a website or wherever I want it to be embedded. Now this is for the view only link. Now this brings us to the third person, or rather the third sharing link available within Airtable, and which is the form links. Now, the forms in Airtable allow us collect data from people, right? Or collect data or data over from wherever we intend to, right? So now the form links are available, but only when you create a form in Airtable. So once you create the form and you click on the share link, you're able to share this form with people and get the information you need. So let's see how that works. So each form within Airtable has a specific form link which you can share to people to be able to get data. So once you're done editing your forms and then you publish it. Now, before you can share a form only link, you need to have published your form. Now, when you get to publish your form, it now gives you the option to share the form. Now, once the form is good to go, it gives you the options to either give anyone on the web access, or an admin approved domain, or anyone at an email domain, or only users with base access. So each of these levels of permission, it depends on your use case. So when I decide to toggle on anyone on the web, anybody I share the link with has access to the form. If the admin approves a certain domain, but this is only available on the business plan. Now, anybody within a specific email domain as given by the client, it has access to the form. Now, only users with base access, so only people who I have granted access as collaborators to my base can access the form if I toggle on my base access. Now, and also, when you toggle on anyone at the web, you can decide to create a password just like we did in the previous ones. You can also embed it, and then when you're done with everything you need to do, you just copy your link and you share it with whoever it is you want to have access to the various form. And this is for the other link. Now this brings us to the fourth man in the room, which are the interface links. And the interface links are the links which you use to share access to the interfaces that you have built out in Airtable. So let's see how that works. Interface level, you can share permissions to your interface, right? So now the same way that we worked out editing our links in our workspaces and in our bases also applies to the interfaces, right? So you can either invite collaborators or you can invite guests. But now inviting guests, it works on a certain level. Now this is where portals in Airtable comes in, right? So now if you create a portal in Airtable using your interfaces, and instead of inviting them as collaborators, you get to invite them as guests. But this is an add-on. So regardless of whatever business plan that you're on, building portals in Airtable require an extra payment, right? And you can then add it to your plan and get to pay for everything together. Now you can also share to the web, right? You can share to the web, and then this turns on the read only access, right? So you can also manage your link settings just like we did with the previous one, requiring a password, or allow users to navigate the full app, because interfaces in Airtable are also referred to, as apps. Now, so you can either invite collaborators the normal way via email or via invite links. You can invite guests, but only when you have built a portal in Airtable, which is an add-on to your subscription plans, or you can share to the web via the link, right? And then you're able to set up your permissions, or you can just embed this page in your website or wherever you intend to embed them to embed it in, right? So now this is for the interface links. Now this brings us to the fifth man in the room, which is the public sharing links. So the public sharing link is basically refers to being able to embed your various links or rather the various views you have within your Airtable. So probably at the workspace level, or the base level, or your interfaces, right? Even down to your forms. And you can embed them in your website, or just like we saw previously, which gave us the option to share our links publicly. You're able to share your links wherever you intend to share them, and people are able to access them, right? So this is also another way of sharing your data to people that maybe are not within your workspace. So for example, the forms, you decide to share forms with people that are not within your workspace. So when you share them publicly or you embed them in a website that you have built, you're able to give them access. But now the beautiful thing about it is that they are unable to see the data in your bases. They're just able to view the links or view the specific type of data that you want them to view. And that's for the public sharing links. So now sharing link in Airtable is very, very important because this is the way you're able to control the amount of data that you give to people without oversharing. So depending on the type of links that you share with them, whether it's at the workspace, the invite links at the workspace level or the base level, the form links which just allows them to fill in the form, and you have the data sitting in your base without giving them access to the data in your base. So understanding these various links and how and when to use them is key to understanding the nature of data or the amount of data that you get to share with them or the amount of access that you give them when you share these various links with them, right? So now this is important for you to know, and this helps you avert the disaster of publicizing information which should be kept hidden in the first place. For the Airtable Foundation series. So if you have not seen the previous videos, now we have the videos in this order where you get to talk about Airtable structure, we get to talk about the workspaces and the pricing plans. We also talked about the permission levels, and then this final video which talks about the various sharing links that Airtable avails to you as a user in their ecosystem. So you wouldn't want to miss out on these previous videos. You can check them off on my YouTube channel and then catch up with this Airtable foundational series where we took the foundations of Airtable and help you settle into using Airtable as a first-time user or as a newbie. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification buttons because I would have a lot of topics which surround Airtable, around Airtable, Zapier, and Make coming your way. My name is Pamela, and I am a low-code, no-code developer and a workflow automation expert. And I'll see you on the next one.